Batman and his gallery of villains have been a staple of pop culture for decades. From the charmingly campy to the disturbingly psychotic, each interpretation of the Dark Knight's rogues gallery brings something new to the table. In this video, we'll be exploring every villain of Batman that has appeared in live-action movies.
See, I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve.
From the Joker to Two-Face, from Catwoman to the Riddler, Batman has faced some of the most dangerous and devious villains in Gotham City. So join us as we take a deep dive into the world of Batman's villains. Before we get into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
They deserved it, huh? You think they deserved it?
The Joker. It all started with Cesar Romero's iconic performance as the Joker in the 1960s Batman TV series and film. Romero's portrayal of the clown prince of crime perfectly captured the character's essence of insanity and set the standard for all future Jokers to come. Despite his refusal to shave his mustache for the role, Romero's performance brought the original comics to life and remains a classic in the Joker pantheon. Cameron Monaghan's portrayal of twin brothers Jerome and Jeremiah Valeska in Gotham was a standout performance, even if the show couldn't use the official title of The Joker. Monaghan's commitment to playing two potential Jokers with different qualities was impressive, especially considering he couldn't even sport the character's trademark green hair. With nods to classic Joker references and character touches, Monaghan managed to portray Joker's demented character and gave an extraordinary performance that left a mark. Barry Keoghan's brief appearance as the Joker in a deleted scene from The Batman was enough to get fans excited for more. Although it's never outright stated that he is the one accompanying Riddler at Arkham Asylum, the sound of that trademark laugh was enough to introduce this wacky character that we all cherish. Keoghan's unique spin on the character hinted at potential greatness and left fans wanting more. The Joker has been portrayed by many actors, but Heath Ledger's portrayal in The Dark Knight is considered the best by many. His performance was haunting to the soul, yet humorous, which captured the deranged spirit of the character in a way that was never seen before. In Tim Burton's Batman, Jack Nicholson's depiction of the character stands out due to his ability to maintain a campy tone while also infusing Burton's signature dark humor. The task of establishing the character as a mobster was undoubtedly challenging, but Nicholson's performance solidifies his version of the antagonist as one of the best. Joaquin Phoenix's take on the Joker in Joker explored the origins of the character and brought immense empathy and humanity to the role, telling the story of a once average man whose name was Arthur Fleck. Phoenix's performance was the driving force behind the film's success. In conclusion, each actor who has portrayed the Joker in live-action movies has brought their own unique spin on the character, some more successful than others. From Romero's charming campiness to Monaghan's unhinged commitment, the Joker remains a complex and endlessly fascinating villain in the Batman mythos.
Beauty. Just the beast.
Bane. Bane's first appearance in a live-action movie was in the 1997 film Batman and Robin. In this movie, Bane was portrayed as a hulking brute who served as Poison Ivy's muscle. However, it was his portrayal in the 2012 movie The Dark Knight Rises that truly made an impact. Director Christopher Nolan took a different approach for the character, presenting him as a suave and intellectual villain rather than just a physical powerhouse. Although the two versions have vastly different origin stories, the latter received a lot of attention due to the interesting approach taken by director Christopher Nolan. In The Dark Knight Rises, Bane proves to be an entertaining adversary, and it's fascinating to watch this new avatar, which is quite different from previous main villains in the Batman trilogy. He's a strong villain, but as the plot approaches its climax, Bane's character is overshadowed by Talia al Ghul's. This shift in focus causes Bane's presence to fade away, ultimately detracting from his strength as a villain.
Because I don't know what's gonna happen to you either.
Two-Face. Harvey Dent, the attorney-turned-villain, has had an intriguing journey in both Burtonverse and Nolanverse. Despite the different origin stories, one thing that remains constant is the hope Dent symbolizes for Gotham City before he's corrupted by his inner demons. It's a classic tale of the rise and fall of a character we can't help but root for. Meanwhile, Two-Face in Batman Forever is a little bit flashy and often criticized for being overshadowed by the Riddler. His makeup and fashion gives the feel that the character is leaned more towards Joker while doing justice to none. Eckhart's portrayal of Two-Face in The Dark Knight is a tour de force of acting, as he deftly handles both the good and the bad sides of the character. Though this version lacks the sugar and spice that we see in the comic books, it still manages to make an impact. What's particularly impressive about Eckhart's performance is how he convinces us that Dent might be the only hope for Gotham's future, only to rip our hearts out when he falls from grace. It's a testament to Eckhart's talent that he can convey so much emotion without relying on flashy makeup or costumes. And let's not forget the memorable ending of The Dark Knight, which eschews the usual superhero formula for a more intimate and emotional confrontation. Through it all, Eckhart's Two-Face remains one of the most tragic and fascinating villains in the Batman universe.
Hey, my name is not Oswald. It's Penguin. I am not a human being.
The Penguin. The Penguin is one of the most iconic villains in the Batman universe and has been portrayed in live-action movies 3 separate times, each with a distinct take on the character. Burgess Meredith's performance in the 1966 film Batman lent something deliciously delightful to the Penguin, with his unflinching ridiculousness and squawking like the birds he is named after. It fit right in with the film's overall tone of goofy fun, and Meredith's performance as an actor of his caliber made him a standout character. Danny DeVito's version of Oswald Cobblepot, or as we know him, the Penguin, in 1992's Batman Returns was a complete departure from Meredith's goofy version. He emerged a menacing figure with a bulky physique, sharp teeth, and tattered clothing. Danny DeVito's performance as the Penguin was a tour de force, as he fully immersed himself in the madness of the character. He portrayed the Penguin as capable of doing anything, making it hard to predict what he would do next. Despite the character's over-the-top nature, the makers made sure that this version of the Penguin remained a formidable foe for Michael Keaton's Batman. Unlike some other versions of the character, DeVito's performance was a carefully crafted balance of outrageousness and seriousness, making it unforgettable. The most recent iteration of the Penguin in 2022's The Batman, Colin Farrell portrayed an over-the-top, exaggerated version, more reminiscent of a classic noir villain. The actor delivers a humongous version of the Penguin, which is oddly appealing to the eyes that fits seamlessly into the plot. Despite being hidden under layers of makeup, Farrell's commitment to the role shines through and leaves a lasting impact. Despite 3 distinct takes on the character, the Penguin's impact on the Batman universe remains the same. He's a crime lord who always manages to find his way into Gotham's underworld, and his cunning and ruthlessness make him a formidable foe for Batman.
Light as a feather, yet no man can hold it long.
What am I?
The Riddler. The Riddler, a notorious Batman villain, has had numerous live-action movie portrayals, each with its own distinct impact. Frank Gorshin's take on the character in the 1966 Batman film and the TV series that preceded it was a delightful, goofy interpretation of the character. Gorshin's manic energy and ability to chew the scenery made the Riddler an entertaining member of the ensemble cast of villains in the film. The Riddler's witty and pun-filled dialogue was brought to life with effortless charm, making him one of the standout characters in the film. In contrast, Jim Carrey's portrayal of the Riddler in 1995's Batman Forever was a misstep that missed the mark entirely. Instead of creating a unique take on the character, Carrey's Riddler felt like a rehash of his previous roles. His manic energy felt forced and out of place, and his comedic lines fell flat, making him more of a distraction than a formidable foe for Batman. Even his interactions with Two-Face, played by Tommy Lee Jones, felt stale and uninspired. Paul Dano's portrayal of the Riddler in the latest Batman movie takes a fresh and realistic approach to the character, making him one of the most captivating and terrifying versions we've seen on the big screen. Dano's Riddler is not your typical comic book villain with a goofy outfit, but a real-world serial killer with a tragic self-awareness. In fact, the character is inspired by the real-life Zodiac Killer, which adds a chilling layer to his performance. This version of the Riddler is no longer a mere puzzler in spandex, but a haunting reminder of the unsolved murders and cryptic ciphers left by a real-life murderer. While all these performances differed significantly in their execution, they serve as examples of how an actor can make or break a character in a comic book movie adaptation. Gorshin's Riddler became a memorable part of the Batman franchise, whereas Carrey's portrayal was a forgettable footnote in the series, and Dano's version, on the other hand, might be the best Riddler we've ever seen.
Stop! Living in the shadow of the big bad bat.
Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy, the green-skinned seductress, made her live-action debut in Batman and Robin, played by Uma Thurman. Despite being a beloved character in the comics, Poison Ivy's appearance in the movie did not receive as much love from the audience. However, Thurman's performance as Poison Ivy is noteworthy and impactful, albeit overshadowed by the movie's other shortcomings. Thurman's Poison Ivy was created as a combination of the Riddler's origin story and Catwoman's persona. However, the character lacked a distinct presence and struggled to create a lasting impact on the audience. One of the unique aspects of the character was that she did not cater to traditional male gaze. Her portrayal was not about sex appeal, but rather her character's power and control. She exuded confidence, and her body language reflected her character's dominance. It was a refreshing take on a female villain character and reflected the unique creative ambitions of the movie's director, Joel Schumacher. Unfortunately, Poison Ivy's character was limited in terms of menace and personality. Her ability to control plants was depicted poorly on screen, and her lack of character development meant that she did not leave a lasting impact on the audience.
Looking for something?
Catwoman. Catwoman, one of the most iconic characters in the Batman universe, has been portrayed in live-action movies several times. While each of them brought their spin to the character, some portrayals were more successful than others. Here's a look at each of the live-action Catwoman portrayals in order of release date and how they've impacted the character's legacy. Julie Newmar's performance in the 1960s Batman television series was the first live-action portrayal of Catwoman. Newmar's interpretation was groundbreaking and set the tone for the character for years to come. She perfectly captured Catwoman's intelligence, sex appeal, and physical prowess, and her performance was infused with a subtle sense of humor that helped make the character even more memorable. Eartha Kitt was the second actress to play Catwoman, replacing Newmar in the third season of the TV series. Kitt's portrayal was markedly different from Newmar's, adding her own brand of sexuality and humor to the character. Kitt's Catwoman was campier and more over-the-top than Newmar's, but it was also more fun and outrageous. Michelle Pfeiffer's performance as Catwoman in Tim Burton's Batman Returns is often regarded as the definitive interpretation of the character. Pfeiffer's Catwoman was complex and multi-layered, with a tragic backstory that added depth and nuance to the character. She was also incredibly sexy, with a tight-fitting leather suit that has become iconic in its own right. Pfeiffer's performance was intense and captivating, and it set a high bar for future Catwoman portrayals. Cameron Biekondova played a young Selina Kyle in the television series Gotham. Biekondova's portrayal was more grounded and realistic than some of the other versions of the character, but it was also somewhat bland. While Biekondova did a good job with what she was given, the writing for her character was lackluster and she never quite stood out from the pack. Anne Hathaway played Selina Kyle in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises. Hathaway's Catwoman was sleek and stylish, with a cat burglar outfit that was more practical than some of the other versions. Hathaway's performance was good, but it lacks some of the intensity and depth of other portrayals. Her Catwoman was also more of an anti-hero than a villain, which may have been a deliberate choice on Nolan's part. Lee Merriweather played Catwoman in the 1966 film Batman the Movie. Merriweather's performance was solid, but it was overshadowed by Newmar's iconic portrayal. Merriweather's Catwoman was confident and self-assured, with a sly sense of humor that helped make her more memorable. Halle Berry played the titular character in the standalone film Catwoman. Unfortunately, the movie was widely panned by critics and audiences alike, and Berry's performance was not well received. While Berry certainly looked the part, her portrayal was overly sexualized and lacked any depth. The film did not do justice to the character of Catwoman, and it remains a black mark on the character's legacy. Zoe Kravitz is a true standout in The Batman. With her enigmatic persona and undeniable strength, she brings Catwoman to life like never before. Kravitz infuses the character with depth and emotion, elevating her beyond the typical superficial portrayal. Her stunning beauty is just an added bonus to her mesmerizing performance. Zoe Kravitz truly is the heart and soul of the Batman. In conclusion, each live-action portrayal of Catwoman has left its own mark on the character's legacy.
Have you gun that counts? Good. Let's kick some ice.
Mr. Freeze. The character of Mr. Freeze, as portrayed by Arnold Schwarzenegger in the live-action Batman movie Batman and Robin, has become a cultural touchstone for all the wrong reasons. While the movie itself was heavily criticized for its campy and overblown tone, Schwarzenegger's performance as Mr. Freeze has been singled out as one of the worst in the history of comic book adaptations. But is the criticism fair? The character of Mr. Freeze has a long and storied history in the Batman comics, and his appearance in Batman and Robin was simply another interpretation of the character. In the comics, Mr. Freeze is portrayed as a tragic figure, a man who becomes a villain after cryogenically freezing his dying wife in an attempt to save her life. He is often depicted as a cold and calculating villain with little regard for human life. However, in Batman and Robin, Mr. Freeze is a caricature of his comic book self. He's given cheesy one-liners and an over-the-top costume that makes him look more like a cartoon character than a legitimate threat to Batman. Schwarzenegger's performance is also criticized for being too over-the-top and lacking in nuance. He's simply playing himself, with no attempt to create a distinct character.
And wishes to serve true justice.
Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul is one of Batman's most iconic villains, and his appearance in Batman Begins, as played by Liam Neeson, has been a welcome addition to the live-action Batman canon. Neeson's commanding performance has helped elevate the character to new heights, providing a formidable foe for the Dark Knight to face off against. One of the most intriguing aspects of Ra's al Ghul's character is his philosophy. He's a villain who truly believes he's doing what's necessary for the greater good, even if it means causing destruction and chaos in the process. This makes him a unique antagonist, one who's not just interested in personal gain or power, but is motivated by a sense of duty and responsibility. However, the decision to tie Ra's al Ghul's plans to destroy Gotham into the death of Bruce Wayne's parents feels like a misstep. It takes away from the character's motivations and makes his actions seem like a personal vendetta against Batman, rather than a larger philosophical conflict.
In this turn of events, perhaps you've changed your mind?
Talia al Ghul. Talia al Ghul is a character with a lot of potential in the Batman mythos, but her appearance in The Dark Knight Rises left some fans disappointed. Played by the talented Marion Cotillard, Talia is initially introduced as a potential love interest for Bruce Wayne, only to be revealed as the movie's main villain. As the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, she has a personal vendetta against Batman and seeks to destroy Gotham City with a bomb. Cotillard brings a sense of complexity and nuance to the role, but the character suffers from a lack of development. With so many twists and turns in the plot, there isn't enough time to fully explore Talia's motivations or backstory. Her eventual turn to villainy feels somewhat rushed and underwhelming, especially when compared to the menacing presence of Bane. Despite these flaws, Talia al Ghul remains an interesting addition to the Batman movie universe. Her connection to Ra's al Ghul and the League of Shadows provides an intriguing link to the previous films, and her relationship with Bruce Wayne adds a layer of emotional complexity.
So when did the Nut take over the Nut House?
Scarecrow. The Scarecrow is one of the most underrated villains in the Batman universe, but in Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, he was given a new life. Cillian Murphy's take on the character was menacing, creepy, and brilliantly executed. The way Nolan grounded the character in the real world made him all the more terrifying, as he wasn't a master criminal or a genetically enhanced monster, but instead a psychologist with a penchant for fear-inducing gas. Scarecrow's appearance in Batman Begins was brief but memorable, with his use of the gas to induce hallucinations in victims being a highlight, but it was his recurring role throughout the trilogy that truly made him stand out. In The Dark Knight, he was a minor player in the Joker's plan, but his cameo in The Dark Knight Rises as a kangaroo court judge was a standout moment in the film. It showed the Scarecrow's evolution as a character, from a low-level henchman to a figurehead in the criminal underworld.
We're both perceived as monsters.
Number 12. Max Shreck. Max Shreck might not be the most memorable Batman villain, but Christopher Walken's performance in Batman Returns made him a worthy addition to the franchise. Shreck's evil was grounded in reality, serving as a reminder of the greed and selfishness of the wealthy. Walken's portrayal of Shreck as a manipulative businessman was a refreshing change of pace from the more cartoonish villains of the film. What was particularly interesting about Shreck was the dynamic between him and Danny DeVito's Penguin. The two had vastly different approaches to their villainy, with Shreck being more reserved and Penguin being overtly bizarre. This contrast created an entertaining and unique relationship that set Shreck apart from other Batman foes. Of course, Walken's performance was the real standout there. He brought his signature delivery to every line, infusing even the most mundane dialogue with a certain charisma. Shreck might not be an all-time great Batman villain, but Walken's portrayal of him elevated the character and made him a memorable addition to the franchise. Overall, Max Shreck might not be the flashiest or most iconic villain in the Batman mythos, but his grounded, manipulative evil and Christopher Walken's performance in Batman Returns made him a solid and worthy foe for the Dark Knight. Alicia Hunt. In Tim Burton's film Batman, which was released in 1989, Alicia Hunt was a woman caught in a love triangle between her lover, Carl Grissom, the mob boss, and his right-hand man, Jack Napier. When Grissom found out about their affair, he set up a mission to have Napier killed. However, Napier survived and was transformed into the monstrous Joker after falling into a vat of chemicals. As the Joker, he disfigured Alicia's face with sulfuric acid, and she had to wear a porcelain mask to hide the scars, which forced her to assist him in his crimes. Eventually, the Joker presented Alicia's mask to the journalist Vicky Vale and claimed that Alicia had committed suicide by jumping out of a window. Alicia Hunt was portrayed by Jerry Hall in Batman.
Oh, you can call me anything you want.
Sugar. Sugar may not be the most well-known character in the Batman universe, but she certainly made an impact in Batman Forever as a henchwoman and love interest to Two-Face. What is interesting about her character is that she seems to have a soft spot for Two-Face's good side, which is rare in the world of Batman villains. When the Riddler showed up and offered to help them solve the mystery of Batman's identity, Sugar was willing to form an alliance with him and help him with his plans. She even went with him to the Ritz Gotham to help him demonstrate his new mind control device and seemed to take a liking to Bruce Wayne. Of course, that was all part of the Riddler's plan to read Bruce's mind and discover his secret identity. When the Riddler gave Batman the choice to rescue either Chase or Robin, Batman used the opportunity to take down the riddle-loving villain while Sugar made their escape during the Lairs explosion. Sugar's character, which is portrayed by Drew Barrymore, adds an interesting dynamic to the already complex world of Batman villains. While she may not be a major player, her loyalty to Two-Face's good side and her brief moments of compassion make her a memorable character in her own right.
Hello everyone, my name is Victor Zsasz.
Victor Zsasz. Victor Zsasz is a notorious criminal in the world of Batman, known for his sadistic tendencies and his signature tally marks, which he carves into his own skin for every victim he kills. He made appearances in both Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. In Batman Begins, Zsasz was one of Carmine Falcone's top henchmen and was responsible for killing many of Falcone's enemies with his knife. He was eventually apprehended, thanks to the efforts of Rachel Dawes, and was sent to Arkham Asylum. However, during Ra's al Ghul's attack on the city, Zsasz was freed along with the other prisoners. In The Dark Knight, Zsasz was confirmed to still be at large after the events of the League of Shadows attack. He is known for his skill with a knife, as well as his athleticism in hand-to-hand combat. What makes Zsasz such a terrifying villain is his complete lack of empathy or remorse for his actions. He takes pleasure in killing, and is constantly tallying up his victims on his own body. He's a sadistic and unpredictable character, which makes him a dangerous foe for Batman and the citizens of Gotham City. Victor Zsasz is a memorable and chilling addition to the Batman Rogues Gallery, and his appearance in both Batman Begins and The Dark Knight cemented his status as one of the most fearsome villains in the franchise. The League of Shadows. The League of Shadows is like a secretive and shadowy version of the Avengers, but with a much darker mission. They are all about cleansing the world of corruption and injustice, which sounds pretty noble until you realize that they're willing to go to extreme lengths to make it happen. Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, was recruited by the League to learn how to fight injustice and give up his desire for revenge. He trained in martial arts, stealth, intimidation, and theatricality. Basically, he became a ninja with a bad obsession. But things got complicated when Bruce learned that the League's leader, who he thought was Ra's al Ghul, actually had plans to destroy Gotham City. So he destroyed their base and left Ra's to die, but he saved his teacher, Ducard. Years later, the League returned to Gotham with a plan to bring a fear toxin into the city, but Batman, with the assistance of Jim Gordon, was able to thwart their plans of vaporizing the water and eliminating the city's inhabitants. Unfortunately, Ra's al Ghul's daughter, Talia al Ghul, sought revenge and aided Bane in his plan to destroy Gotham. In a sneaky move, Talia infiltrated Wayne Enterprises by posing as a shareholder and board member. Her goal was to use the company's resources to create a nuclear fusion reactor, which she and Bane then turned into a devastating nuclear bomb. It was a classic case of corporate espionage meets evil supervillainy. The League hired the orphans in Gotham and John Daggett's construction crews to pour cement mixed with explosives all over Gotham City. But of course, Batman and his squad were able to defeat Bane and Talia and save the city from destruction. The remaining members of the League were killed in the city, and whoever managed to escape death found themselves caught by the Gotham City Police Department. All in all, the League of Shadows is like a super villainous version of any superhero squad, even the Justice League. They are highly trained, willing to use extreme methods, and serve as a formidable enemy to Batman and the people of Gotham. Sal Maroni. Salvatore Boss Maroni, the infamous crime boss of Gotham City. He's made quite a name for himself in the Batman universe and has appeared in 2 different movies, Batman Forever and The Dark Knight. In Batman Forever, Boss Maroni, the infamous mob boss of Gotham City, faced trial for an unknown crime, but things took a nasty turn when he threw acid at Harvey Dent, the district attorney. Despite Batman's best efforts, the acid left Dent scarred and created his villainous alter ego Two-Face. As for Maroni's fate, it remains a mystery. Was he sentenced to jail, or did he face Two-Face's wrath? Only the bats of Gotham know for sure. In the movie The Dark Knight, Salvatore Maroni becomes the new leader of Carmine Falcone's crime family and enlists the help of a Chinese mob accountant named Lau. However, Maroni was later put on trial by District Attorney Harvey Dent, who became the villain Two-Face, but was eventually released due to a lack of evidence. Later on, Maroni discussed the situation of the recent robberies of their banks by the Joker with Harvey Dent. Despite the Joker's offer to kill Batman in exchange for half of the mob's money, Maroni, being a shrewd businessman, refused the offer. He was then taken to court along with many other criminals all at once. After making bail, he was captured and interrogated by Batman for the Joker's location. Of course, Maroni refused to snitch on the Clown Prince of Crime, as he knew that the Joker was the real monster in Gotham. Despite his villainous nature, Maroni is a character that has left a lasting impression on Batman fans. Whether you know him as Boss Maroni or Salvatore Sal Maroni, there is no denying that he is a force to be reckoned with in the criminal underworld. Carmine Falcone. Next up on the list, we have Carmine Falcone, the head honcho of Gotham's criminal underworld in the first movie of the Dark Knight trilogy by Christopher Nolan. I must say, he had quite an impressive resume. Drugs, crime, and a payroll that could rival the city's politician and police force. Talk about job security. And let us not forget his connection to Joe Chill, the man who killed Bruce Wayne's parents. That is one way to make a lasting impression on a billionaire playboy. But alas, even the Roman had his downfall. Thanks to the intervention of a certain caped crusader, Falcone found himself knocked out and tied to a searchlight, projecting a bat-like shape into the sky. I guess you could say he inadvertently helped create Batman's iconic symbol. And let us not forget the little trip he took to Arkham Asylum, courtesy of Dr. Jonathan Crane's fear toxin. It seems like Falcone had a knack for making enemies, but don't worry, Falcone fans, if there are any. He may have been mentioned in passing in The Dark Knight, but at least he's still alive and kicking. Well, maybe not kicking, but he is still at Arkham Asylum awaiting his trial. Who knows, maybe he'll make a comeback in the next installment of the franchise. Fingers crossed that it's still gonna happen. After all, Gotham needs its resident crime lord. William Earl. In the 2005 film Batman Begins, William Bill Earl is introduced as the former CEO of Wayne Enterprises who took charge of the company after the death of Thomas Wayne. Earl initially promised young Bruce that he would handle things until Bruce Wayne was of age and could run the company that his parents ran. However, when Bruce left Gotham City, Earl had him declared dead and took Wayne Enterprises public. William Earl is portrayed as a cold-blooded and ruthless businessman motivated solely by profit. He made heavy weapons manufacturing the cornerstone of Wayne Enterprises and reduced or eliminated the company's charitable projects. Earl was pleased when Bruce came back to the company, but only to restrain the heir of Wayne's actions. During his tenure as CEO, Earl demoted and later fired Lucius Fox from the board. However, after Bruce came back and regained control of Wayne Enterprises, he bought the majority of the company's shares and appointed Fox as CEO. Fox even snapped a remark at Earl, "Didn't you get the memo?" Although a minor character in the film, William Bill Earl serves as a significant part of Batman Begins' themes of corporate greed and corruption. His ruthless business tactics and desire for profit at any cost helped establish the film's darker tone and highlight the challenges that Bruce Wayne faces in his efforts to restore justice to Gotham City.
I smell fresh ink, guys. Now you can...
Bob the Goon. Bob the Goon was a key character in the 1989 Batman movie and served as the Joker's trusted friend and first lieutenant among the Joker Goons. With his shoulder-length blonde hair, chin stubble, and a scar on his left cheek, Bob had a distinctive appearance that was complemented by his dark purple leather B-32 flight jacket adorned with Joker-themed patches, fedora, and sunglasses. Despite his jovial personality and tendency to laugh at the Joker's dark humor, Bob was fiercely loyal to his boss. He performed numerous tasks for the Joker, which included investigating Alexander Knox's efforts to uncover Batman's identity. Bob accompanied the Joker and his gang on various missions, including scouting City Hall, moving their operations to Axis Chemicals and vandalizing the Flugelheim Museum. He was also involved in the intense car chase through the streets of Gotham, during which he and his fellow goons shot at Batman before realizing he was wearing body armor. Unfortunately, Bob's loyalty to the Joker eventually led to his demise. At the 200th anniversary parade, the Joker, in a fit of rage, asked Bob for his gun and shot him. Bob's revolver was then given to the Fedora Joker goon, who continued the attack. Despite his relatively short screen time, Bob the Goon left a lasting impression on fans of the franchise, thanks to his unique appearance, personality, and loyalty to the Joker.
Who the hell are you?
I'm Batman.
Golems. The Golems are a street gang in Gotham City known for their neon-themed makeup that glows under blacklights set up in their alleyways. They're a small-time gang, but are known for their ghoulish appearance, which they use to frighten pedestrians. In Batman Forever, Dick Grayson noticed the Golems harassing a young girl after hijacking the Batmobile from the Batcave. He confronts them and fights them off, and rescues the girl. The gang leader then called for more members to join the fight, but they fled when the true Batman arrived on the scene. During Mr. Freeze's reign of terror in Batman and Robin, the Golems resided in an abandoned Turkish bathhouse. Poison Ivy and Bane broke in and briefly fought the gang before redecorating the place with Ivy's plants. The Golems are a minor gang in the Batman mythos, but their unique appearance makes them stand out from other street gangs in Gotham City. Their encounters with Dick Grayson and Bane highlight their tendency to get involved in conflicts with other villains and vigilantes in the city.
That you, Sugar Bumps? Who the hell are you?
Carl Grissom. Well, it seems we have a classic case of a power-hungry crime lord in Carl Grissom. This guy had it all. The money, the influence, the mistress, but it wasn't enough. No, he had to go and try to manipulate the system to keep his criminal empire intact. And we all know how that turned out. But let's give credit where credit is due. Grissom was a skilled manipulator, able to keep even his closest confidants in check. He had Lieutenant Eckhart on his payroll, for goodness sake, and he was able to convince Jack Napier, his second-in-command, to oversee a dangerous operation without arousing suspicion. That takes some serious persuasive skills. However, Grissom's downfall was his jealousy and his inability to trust those closest to him. He couldn't handle the fact that Napier was sleeping with his mistress, Alicia Hunt, and so he engineered a plan to have Napier killed. But as we all know, things didn't go quite as planned, and Grissom ended up on the wrong end of the Joker's gun. All in all, Carl Grissom was a complex character and a master manipulator with a controlling streak and a jealous heart. But he eventually met his demise at the hands of the very man he tried to have killed. Lesson learned, do not mess with the Joker. Joe Chill. Joe Chill is kind of the man who starts it all in the Batman mythos, as he's responsible for the murder of Bruce Wayne's parents, Thomas and Martha Wayne. In the original script for the 1989 Batman film, Chill was hired by crime boss Rupert Thorne to assassinate Thomas Wayne, but in the final version of the film, Chill was portrayed as one of Jack Napier's henchmen who mugged the Waynes before Napier shot them. Joe Chill also appeared in Batman Begins, where he was portrayed by Richard Brake and claimed to have resorted to mugging the Waynes due to poverty during an economic depression. After serving time in prison, Chill made a deal to receive parole in exchange for testifying against mob boss Carmine Falcone, but he was killed by one of Falcone's assassins before he could testify. Joe Chill also made cameo appearances in other Batman-related media, including Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice and Justice League Dark: Apocalypse War. In the film, Joker, an unnamed Joker fanatic, took on the role of Thomas and Martha Wayne's killer and replaced the character of Joe Chill. Max Eckhart. Max Eckhart was a corrupt lieutenant of the Gotham City Police Department during the time period when Batman first appeared in Gotham City. Eckhart was on the payroll of crime lord Carl Grissom and worked to protect Grissom's illegal front companies. When District Attorney Harvey Dent began to investigate one of Grissom's front companies, Eckhart dismissed the claims and refused to believe in the existence of Batman, even belittling reporter Alexander Knox for his belief in the vigilante. Max Eckhart's fate was sealed when Grissom set a trap for his enforcer, Jack Napier, at Axis Chemicals. Grissom requested that Eckhart ambush and kill Napier with a squadron of police officers, but a gunfight broke out between the police and Napier's gang. Commissioner James Gordon arrived and ordered the police to apprehend Napier alive, but Eckhart attempted to escape and was shot and killed by Napier himself. Eckhart's death at the hands of Napier was a pivotal moment in the Batman mythos, as it was one of the events that led to Napier's transformation into the Joker. Eckhart was a minor character in the '89 Batman film, but his corrupt nature and eventual demise served as an important plot point in the story. Conclusion. Batman, with his dark and gritty edge, has been an inspiration for many movie makers wanting to produce films exploring the world of Gotham's villains. These iconic portrayals of Batman's villains have left an indelible mark on the world of cinema, and their performances will be remembered for years to come. Whether it's the anarchic spirit of the Joker or the dark humor of the Riddler, Batman's villains have always been fascinating characters, and these actors have brought them to life in a way that has captured the imaginations of audiences worldwide. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.